Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. Today I'm going to be showing you how to set up your ultrasonic cleaner to be the best tool in your entire arsenal. Now, most serious computer repair shops have some kind of ultrasonic cleaner for cleaning up boards. This is usually done to clean up liquid damage or just to clean up flux residue and stuff like that after rework. But there's also another massive use for them that no one wants to talk about, and I've been working on in secret. And today, I'm going to share it with you. So let's roll the intro and I'll tell you more about it. Now, most people are going to run a fairly typical electronics cleaning solution in their ultrasonic cleaner. They're probably going to start with a base of something like deionized water, and then they're going to add some kind of additive to it. In this case, I've got this Ultrasonic Pro for a touch of sparkle, which is just a generic brand stuff that I found on Amazon, and it seems to work pretty well. It's basically dish soap, but there's also a couple of extra additives in there that are specifically designed to dissolve flux and that kind of thing. And I get a really good result out of this. You guys have seen me use this to great effect on circuit boards in the past, where I've made boards that look like a complete state, look like they just came out of the reflow oven. But it's not what I'm putting in my ultrasonic cleaner today. No, today I have a different type of additive that I'm going to use. Milk. Now at this point you're probably wondering what kind of wild fever dream you've just stumbled into. But trust me, there's actually a method to this madness. So follow with me while I give you a little bit of backstory on why this is actually the big secret that no one is talking about. Now, if you've ever seen a thing called 5-Minute Crafts, or any one of those million life hack videos that you see doing the rounds on Facebook and probably TikTok and other nonsense obscure platforms that no one cares about, you might have seen a video where they take a broken plate and they put it into a basin of milk and leave it overnight. And in the morning, wow, the plate is repaired. It's amazing. And most people look at that video and they go, no, that's not how that works at all. But the thing is, as with a lot of these videos, there's actually an element of truth to it. Now, the fact that the plate gets repaired is actually true. If you place certain elements, silicons and ceramics and things like that, into milk, milk will create a chemical bond between the atoms and repair damage. It will create links between the atoms again. And that's the bit they didn't show you. What they actually needed was more energy. So what kind of energy is an ultrasonic cleaner bringing to the table here? Well, it's bringing in heat and ultrasonic energy, basically. So the first thing we're going to need is the heat. So let's fill up our ultrasonic machine with the milk and we'll get the heater going and start it warming up. And then while it warms up, we can take a look at an example board and I'll show you exactly what we're going to fix with this contraption. In England, we call this a 4-pinter. If you're lactose intolerant, then this method probably isn't for you, if I'm honest. Fresh. This seems like an excellent time to tell you about the ultrasonic machine that I'm using. This is a Vivor unit. It is 22 litres, it has a 600 watt heater in it and 450 watts of ultrasonic cleaning power. It's rather overkill for a computer repair shop, but what I like about it is that it's big enough to put a full ATX motherboard into for all of the ATX motherboards that I fixed. However, in the meantime, it will take it a while to warm up because there's quite a lot of thermal mass there. So let's switch it on. 40 degrees is fine, we don't need to go overboard with this. So the board I'm going to fix is this MacBook Air logic board. This is an 820-3437, which is an absolute classic. And this one has a dead PCH. So that's this die on the chip here. So this is our CPU, that's our CPU core, and that is our onboard PCH. And these onboard or on-package PCHs are notorious for failing. They don't like heat, and they're sitting next to a very hot CPU core. And if this guy dies, you're basically done. Because while, you could get a BGA rework station and you could replace the CPU on the board, but at that point, you may as well replace the entire logic board or even the laptop. So if you have a dead PCH, you're basically done. I'm currently injecting power into this board, and if I bring in my infrared thermal camera, you can see that our PCH is burning up. And if I put on the macro lens, we can even see that in excruciating detail when I go in super close like that. So there's our PCH package going nuclear. And just for funsies, I'll just increase the current up to 4 amps. So this is normally the point where we would give up on the board, but now with our specially prepared ultrasonic cleaner, we are going to bring this guy back to life. Now, as a friendly reminder, you see your PCH making thermal signatures like that, you are very, very done. So just to put that in perspective of how much of a problem we've got with this board. Right, our ultrasonic cleaner is more or less up to temperature now, so we're ready to start the show. And if you've made it this far into the video, then well done, you are a true seeker of knowledge, and you're welcome in my home. And that means I'll now share with you the real secrets here, because we have an ultrasonic cleaner of warm milk, but that's not the final ingredient we need. This is probably going to be good enough to fix a plate, and by all means, let's put that to the test. I have a cracked plate here, and you can see very clearly on the back that it's got a fracture most of the way across. Amazing that this thing hasn't broken clean in half. So let's get this guy fixed up by putting it into the milk. So here we go. Now this is just a simple plate. We don't need to do any magic for this. 5-Minute Crafts has already proven that this works, and they used cold milk. So with my heated milk, this will be done in a jiffy. I'm not going to need to wait overnight, but we do need to leave it for, probably a couple of hours. So I'll see you in a moment after this wipe cut. We're ready, everyone, and because we're not using any nasty chemicals, I don't even need to put on gloves for this bit, so let's take a look. Whoop. Oh, look at that! Pristine. You can't even see where the crack was now. That is 100% fixed. I can just use that straight away. I could drink the milk from it. But that's a bit barbaric, so, obviously this is going to need a proper wash because it's covered in milk, but I think that's a pretty good trade. One cracked plate for a fully uncracked plate. Very nice. Now, bonding ceramics together is one thing, but if we actually want to bond silicon circuits back together inside a PCH, we're going to need something else than just milk here. So let me bring in the special ingredient. Chocolate milk. Now normally you'd add about, 3 or 4 teaspoons of this to a glass of chocolate milk, but we've got 16 pints of milk in this particular ultrasonic, so we're going to need about this much. I'd recommend buying a whisk for this, but I left mine at home today, so this fork will have to suffice. All right. Now, for the purposes of our demonstration, this is probably good enough. Long term, I would whisk this properly and chase out all of the clumps just for maximum impact. That will improve things a bit. However, this is good enough for a short-term demonstration. So let's just quickly do a quick status check and make sure that our concoction is ready. Yeah, that's not bad. Definitely a couple of lumps in there still, but it's good enough for the show. Let's go. So now you're going to want to do any usual prep that you do on a circuit board before ultrasonicking. You're going to want to remove any sort of removable modules that you can take off to keep the board clear. Make sure you've removed any thermal paste because you don't want that mixing into your chocolate milk. and also just like remove any small bits of foam that you can as well, because otherwise those will probably come off during the process and you'll have them floating around in the chocolate milk afterwards. No one wants that. So I'm just going to dunk this in now. You can use a basket for this, and I have a basket for this, and that's very useful when you have multiple boards that you're doing at the same time. However, I've got other stuff drying in my basket at the moment, so we'll just put this one in just bare on its own. And I'm going to give this about 5 minutes or so, which will be just fine. For the amount of energy that we're now putting into this process, it doesn't take nearly as long as 5-Minute Crafts thought it did. Right, we're all finished, so let's recover our circuit board from the bottom of the ultrasonic. There we go. It's a little bit chocolate milky now, so we now need to actually wash the board properly. Now, obviously, if you're using conventional ultrasonic, then there would be less washing you have to do, but that's just one of the disadvantages of this particular method. But what you could do is have a second ultrasonic setup to clear the chocolate milk from your logic board. For now though, what I'll do is I'll just give this a quick alcohol wash. So I'll just set that to aside a sec. And for the purposes of the demonstration, I'll just alcohol wash into this bucket here. Normally I wouldn't do it like into a bucket, this is awkward, but you know, I'm working on a countertop here, cut me some slack. We have left behind a little bit of chocolate residue here, but don't worry, that'll all wash off with the alcohol. This is going to take several washings, so I'm just going to cut to the point where I've got it nice and clean. Right, we have demilked our logic board, so it's still a little bit wet from the washing process, so now I'm going to give it plenty of time to dry out, and when it's fully dry, we can put it in a laptop and put it to the test. Right, our logic board is all nice and dry, and you can see it is sparklingly clean, and that PCH is nice and shiny. We've got a nice mirror finish on that, and that's always a good sign. Mirror finish is good. No cracks, no smudging, absolute perfect finish. So I reckon that this is taken really well, but let's put it to the test. So I'll plug in a DC inboard. I'll connect up a fan so we can see if we get fan spin. And in addition to that, because we're looking for CPU and PCH activity, I'm going to plug in my CMI Zapper Chipmunk as well. And this guy has got a green light on it that's going to flash when it detects USB activity. So I'll just plug this in over here. Goes in either way up. And let's just pull the camera out slightly just so we can see the whole setup. And now we'll bring up the Paul Daniels meter, and I'll plug in a MagSafe connector, and we'll see if we actually get power. So here goes nothing, everyone. Now, I haven't put in a bridge cable, so we won't get a light on the charger. However, as you can see, we're getting the usual startup pulses on the current meter. And if we look for a green light over here in a moment when it gets started, there we go. That green flash we got, that's activity on the USB, and that means that this thing is alive and working. So against all odds, we have a working motherboard now. For a true test, let's put it into a chassis and see if we get a picture out of it as well. Okay, here goes nothing. We've got power on the Paul Daniels meter again. And I'm just going to plug in a boot drive here just so we get some bootable options when it goes to the boot menu. If it gets there anyway. but I think we're going to work. You can see we've got our 2 power cycles and then main power on, so that graph is looking quite natural. Alright, it looks like I missed the prompt for the boot menu, so it's just gone to the flashing question mark folder because there's no SSD in there, but fully functional MacBook, everyone. There you have it. So there we have it, everyone, from a dead PCH and what is normally considered to be a complete game over situation. We now have a fully functional MacBook once again. And all it took was a little bit of chocolate milk instead of the usual stuff that they want you to put in your ultrasonic cleaner. So, I hope you guys found that interesting. Thank you very much for watching. I want to give a big shout out and thanks to all of my patrons, my channel members for YouTube, my Twitch subscribers, and everyone else who supports the channel in helping me bring you this new information. It's with your financial support that I can do detailed investigative research to come up with new repair methods like this. And this is a fully unironic thank you to the people who support this content. Not this content specifically, but the channel. Thank you, everyone. I do genuinely appreciate you. It should go without saying, but I have to say it at this point now. Don't put chocolate milk in your ultrasonic cleaner. Don't drink chocolate milk or any other fluids from your ultrasonic cleaner. This ultrasonic cleaner was very thoroughly cleaned when I was setting up to do this video, and now I have 16 pints of chocolate milk that I have to drain out of this, pour down the sink, I guess, because I put a dirty circuit board into it, and then clean the ultrasonic cleaner again. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. I've just realised I forgot to buy the Nesquik. Wow, it turns out Nesquik is really expensive, so I bought store brand. That's a lot of milk. I did calculate how much I'd need, but that's a lot of milk. There were 2 plates! I lied! Quite a lot of that went into the air. Is Nesquik and hot chocolate mix the same thing? These are the big questions. It's never occurred to me before now. I wonder how many other YouTubers doing stuff this stupid ever sit and think, maybe this will be the one. Maybe this will be the one that goes viral. I spent about 10 minutes going through in my brain how I could do a better job of making this logic board actually look like the other one. And like what components were missing from the other logic board. And then I thought, why are you trying to make this believable?